Hello viewers, Super GT here. This is surely one of the finest races you're ever likely to see. Around Watkins Glen, or really, to be honest, any circuit. Because, well, we're going to start here in 13th, and, you know, that's nowhere near first. Quite a way down the order. Now, immediately off the start line, it wasn't actually a good start because I left traction control on, and was on the back foot immediately into turn 1. Now, good old Cyrus there behind. I think he braked too late, made a mistake. So a bit of background here. Watkins Glen, Daily Race C, 10 laps. This has been a really fun race this week. Really been enjoying it. And this is a race I did over in the Americas. And it's on the Scott Speed account. Scott Jegg, the greatest driver to ever do it. And we're going to jump in. In the previous video, we made a couple of mistakes. Some close calls, some fun races. Ultimately, we didn't quite get the result we were looking for. But here, we're going to have a change of fortune. We've logged into the greatest account on PSN, quite frankly, and we're going to do our best. Up the inside of the Subaru BRZ here, into the toe of the boot. Car up ahead, sliding all over the place. You're going to see two cars mainly in this daily race, and that would be the BMW that I'm driving, also the Genesis. Although, to be fair, over in the American region, a lot of people using the Corvette as well. There is a McLaren in the race, and then there is the Subaru we have just gone past. So a bit more variation over in the Americas. So this is the end of lap number 1. And so far, I would say, you know, nothing too special. We have gained 1 position, and then we have a change of position just in front there between the McLaren and the Genesis. But that isn't going to last too long here because the McLaren doesn't really take too kindly to that. It looks up the inside. Later on the brakes, there's contact between the pair of them, and it's a semi-shameful Rammers moment as they both go very wide. And I'm going to take both of the positions, pick up the pieces, say thank you very much, and move up into P10. Always very good to get that kind of overtake because I don't really have to put any effort in. And there you go, you've gained the 2 in front, both fighting each other into the bus stop chicane, not the place you really want to be fighting side by side. They're just going to nip underneath here on the exit of the bus stop of the Chevrolet Corvette and claim 9th position. That was a nice little move there, just nipping into the gap as he drove a little bit too wide on the exit. Car in front taking a very unusual line. Bit of contact between the two of us. He gathers it up. Not sure what that line was. Oh, we're going to go up the inside into the toe and take 8th position. So good progress in the pack so far. Oh my goodness, there is the Subaru. R.I.P. in peace, dear sir. And absolutely shocking scenes here. We have our first death at the toe corner. The Subaru ends up meeting the Grim Reaper and Barrier and his fate. Now, so far, 5 positions gained. Started 13th up into 8th. Very good. And not really much time loss, which is always good. Now, of course, sure you want to gain positions, but you don't really want to lose too much time doing it. I don't think we have. End of lap 2. The gap to the car in front, just under a second. 7.5 seconds to the leader. I would personally say that this is quite a crucial lap in the race as we're on the soft tyre and we have a bit of space in front. So let's utilise the tyre, make the most of it, try and pull away from the group behind and pull up towards the back of this car in 7th position. And then hopefully, if we can, try and get past them as quickly as possible. So the downhill corner, the chute, sort of a double apex corner onto the power nice and early. Use the curb on the exit. And then as we come up to the next turn, well, you're about to witness a fine moment in this race, really, because you can see there's 3 cars up in front. And our good friend Moses is going to make a cataclysmic return as he decides the fate of these 3 cars in front. 7th place, 6th place spin out in unison. 5th place then serves the penalty. And with those 3 out of the way, we move up into 5th. Absolutely incredible scenes here. Moses, the top dog, coming along and helping us out. What a guy. And we've gained 3 positions there in probably about 3 seconds. Not bad at all. See there, a couple of cars fighting in the back of the shot, but I've got a bit of space up in front. I'm in P5 with 3 laps complete. That is a pretty solid return. That is not too bad at all. And as we cross the line, it's going to be a 43.6, and that is going to be the fastest lap of the race so far. And that is saying something, especially we went past 3 people on that lap. Pretty cool. End of lap number 4. How much time are we going to lose? A couple of cars go into the pit lane to remove the soft tyre to go onto the medium. Could be a lap too early, but we'll see. 44.0 that time around, so just 4 tenths slower. Not too bad. The tyres are beginning to go off though. Therefore, this will be our last lap on this set of tyres. Almost over the edge of the curb. Could have been a penalty there, but it's not quite going to be. Up the S's on lap number 5. This is going to be the final lap on this stint. Let's go through the chicane. We've lost 3 tenths in the first split. A little bit hesitant on the way in. Final lap on this set of tyres means, well, really around Watkins Glen you've got lots of these very long, fast sweeping corners, and that is not really good for worn tyres. Well, you just don't really turn as much as you want. That's quite simply how it is. Now, I am gaining slowly on these cars in front. The gap to the lead is 4.2. And, well, you know, it's not impossible. But we're going to have to keep plugging away at this point. I'm going to whip it forward a little bit here to the end of the lap. And as I said many times, we're going to be coming in. Because 10 divided by 2 is 5. So let's do 5 laps on each stint. We're going to split this race exactly down the middle, off the soft tyre onto the medium. Let's go in. The BMW boys there going to be doing their fantastic job as ever. Amazing. Thank you very much, guys. Right. End of the first stint, beginning of the second. Let's take a check of where we are. And as we come out onto the track once again, making sure we don't cross the pit exit line. In P7, I do believe there's 2 cars in front, and you see there's a massive gap behind. There's not really anyone immediately behind us. The car behind is 8.5 seconds behind. Now, 2 of the cars in front have not pitted, so I will go back to 5th. And a bit further into lap number 6, I began to spot some of the cars in front fighting, which is what we want to see. It does help us to gain slightly. We have this guy in P6 here serving a penalty. And this was a little bit of an unfortunate moment. I mean, it's nothing really too bad. But coming through the final corner, he goes into the pit lane, and I just have to take a wider line. And when you're on a quest to try to catch up with the cars in front, every 10th matters. So we lost maybe a 10th or 2 there, going a little bit wider. Gap to the car in front, 2.3. Gap to the lead, 3.2. So that's actually really not much of a gap. You see the top 3 in front there. Some of those pixels on the screen moving about. That will be the top 3 of the race. I'm in P4 now. But this is a rather almighty performance so far by Scott Chegg. But it's not over. We're only on lap 7. We still have 3.5, about 3 3/4 laps remaining into the bus stop. Can we get this one nailed on? Pretty good line there on the power as early as possible. You have to be nice and committed through the bus stop, and then through the long right-hander of the outer loop before you then descend into the chute, double apex as I've mentioned, into 3rd gear, onto the power. And by the end of the lap, the gap to the car in front came down to 1.3. By this point here, very strangely, he grazes off of the wall on the inside. Might have been a bit of lag as well, but it looks a bit strange. And immediately that gap comes right down to 0.2. Are we going to be able to get onto the podium here, guys? Down the hill, on the outside, we're going to have to go very wide to get around him. But that's exactly what we do, and claim 3rd position. Now, is 2nd place possible here? It seems as though it is, although this guy is driving very well in the Corvette. His name is Elite Precision, and he is demonstrating such at this point in time. And therefore, it would be a rather tricky final 2 laps to hunt him down and go for the move. Drum Tank, the Canadian in the lead, seems as though he's on the soft tyre in this second half of the race and therefore will begin to just edge away. So it seems as though second place here is the best we can hope for. But let's not forget, we started the race in P13, and therefore we've already gained 10 with the 11th on the cards here. Onto the main straight, but then onto the back straight. We're going to whip it forward a little bit, and through here. This is kind of reminiscent of my previous video because this guy just runs a little bit too narrow on the second and third apex of the bus stop, and boom, he has been whacked with a 1 second penalty. The stewards not looking down upon him very favourably today, and he is going to be slapped with a big penalty, which he will serve around this corner. And therefore what I want to do is try and get as close as I possibly can to him, so that when he does serve it, the gap does open up as much as we can realistically get it to. So there we go, serves the penalty. We're going to go flying past him and claim P2 in the race. The gap though, just about a second, so it's not completely over. Still have to be nice and tidy on the final lap, which we are just coming on to now. Gap 1.3 as we cross the line with the 1:44.3. The only thing that could really unravel this race is the bus stop, and I've been making plenty of mistakes here. So far this race has been penalty free and near enough mistake free, and thankfully by the end it remained that way, as across the line to finish in second position. And that was a really pleasing race. Started 13th, made our way through the order, was nice and aggressive, but also had a fair amount of luck, you know, with Moses for example. But still, you have to capitalise on such moments, and that's exactly what Scotch Egg just did. So it was a very fun race and I really enjoyed that one. But could we go perhaps one better? I qualified a little bit differently, a little bit better, and went for the Genesis, which seems to be one of the few cars that most people are going for. So I thought I'd try this out, see how it performs up against the BMW, and crucially this time starting the race on medium tyres. Therefore some soft tyre runners, for example this guy behind, may well come through at the beginning of the race as they have more grip down towards turn 1. That's exactly what's going to happen. Griffith goes for the move into the bus stop. Now this is where things unravel, as we've mentioned many times. That's exactly what is going to happen here, as he kind of just forgets to turn in for the second apex. Goes over the grass and loses 2 positions and gets himself handed a penalty. Yes, he's got a penalty. So one mistake and boom, 2 positions. You've got the penalty, probably he's going to lose more positions. End of lap 2, side by side now with the BMW as we cross the line. He's got the line, probably the softer tyres. Not really going to fight this one. Going to let him take it. And as long as we keep touch with the leader, that's good. But is this guy going to make a mistake through the bus stop? Let's take a look then, shall we? As we hurtle up the back straight, on the brakes. In fact, he's actually going to really just nail the bus stop. That's an example of how to do it. And lap 1, or sorry, the previous lap was an example of how not to do it. Just beginning to lose touch there with the top 2, as our bus stop wasn't very good at all. Although the leader just goes very wide. Makes a mistake. Top 2 are now side by side, and I make a mistake. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm just looking all over the place, driving all over the place. Brazilian goes through, and I've lost another position on this lap. Not good. There he goes very wide. I'm going to reclaim it immediately back. So lots of mistakes being made here. Not the cleanest run of all time, but we still win with a chance because the top 2 are still just in front. Going side by side now through the heel of the boot. Then we're going to whip it left. Is the Canadian on the outside going to be able to get the position? Yes, he is. With the softer tyre, gets the job done. But now it's our turn to try to get past Bolts, and I felt like I'd be quicker than this guy, but I'd be making too many mistakes, and therefore I wasn't really able to get close enough to go for a move. How about here on the exit of the final turn, going down towards turn 1? I don't really like going for moves here too much because it really does compromise your exit, and then you can easily get re-overtaken on the run towards the bus stop. So we're going to stay behind, tuck into the slipstream through the S's, through the uphill S's, easily flat out through here. Then it's a case of just timing your slipstream, as we are now going to settle into. Are we going to be able to get close enough to go for this move? Finally the slipstream effect comes into play. There it is. Move to the inside. It's going to be a brave and late move, but we're going to get it done, committing to the inside nicely. We leave each other space, and the move is complete up into P2. Now it's really a case of trying to keep as close as we can to the car in front. On the soft tyre, we're on the medium, and then we will swap over. I'll be on the softs, he'll be on the medium, and the race will very much flip on its head. So all I'm trying to do here is just stay as close as I can. This is exactly what I did. Kept the gap to about a second, which isn't too bad. On the way into the pit lane, trying to make sure we don't cross the pit entry line before we change our tyres. So here we go, onto the softs. Get those mediums off. And away we go. Now it turns out, Drum Tank there, unfortunately, must have crossed the pit entry line, because he gets a 3-second penalty. And I think this Watkins Glen race this week has really shown how fine margins very much matter when you're racing towards the front of the pack. Even in the mid-pack, depends. I mean, just in a high-quality lobby, you really do have to be perfect. And then Drum Tank there serves a penalty, drops down the order, as you can see. It's not a good lap for him. Probably would have been third without that penalty, but now finds himself down in 7th position at that point in time there. By the end of the lap, the top two then pitted, and I returned to the lead, a very comfortable lead, and I wasn't really challenged from this point onwards. And it was a fairly simple victory. By the end of lap 10, final lap, the gap was 9 seconds, and therefore you could say it was a fairly routine victory for Scott Speed. Incredible stuff. What I did want to have a look at, though, is how that race played out, because of course it was this moment here that really dictated the race. And you know, as you can see, as we look in, I mean, it doesn't look obvious, but that is the moment that the race kind of flipped. And it looks innocuous. He just comes into the pit lane. This is Drum Tank on the end of lap 5. As we look in here, you can see that he has just put a tiny bit of his tyre over the pit entry line, and that is worthy of a penalty, unfortunately for him. And as we see, a second later, I am on the line, but I'm not over it. And therefore, it just shows you how fine margins dictate these races. Although I think Scott Speed would have had the measure of the other driver on this occasion anyway. But it was a really fun couple of races there. I really hope you enjoyed watching. Probably did, because you're still here. So thank you very much. Have yourself an amazing day. I shall see you next time. Goodbye.